Hi everyone, welcome to our A2X and Xero webinar. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Elspeth. I am the UK Go-to-Market Manager at A2X, and we're really delighted to have David from Xero with us today. So I'm going to give the floor to you, David, at the start, just to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do at Xero.
Yeah, sure thing. Thank you very much, Elspeth, and thanks for everyone attending. Yeah, I'm David Bates. I've worked at Xero for a couple of years as a digital transformation consultant in the partner consulting team. So my focus is really helping firms along that digital journey, helping you use tech, cloud, whatever else. Yeah, better.
That's great, thank you. Okay, so the agenda for this webinar is fairly straightforward. We're going to do an intro to A2X, just why it exists, what it does. We're going to show you how to set it up and start the data going into Xero. We're going to look at e-commerce reporting in Xero, and David's going to help us with that part. And then we're going to talk about some questions around implementing it at your Xero-based accounting or bookkeeping practice. At the end, we will have some time for question and answer. So if you've got questions as you go along, pop them in the chat, and Victoria is going to keep track of those. And at the end, I'll give the questions. And if it's an A2X question, I might answer it. But if it's a Xero question, David's definitely going to be the one to answer it. So just to start out with, we do want to give a shout out to Xero. We were so excited this year to win Practice App of the Year. The whole team was celebrating. We really think that Xero and A2X are a winning combination if you've got e-commerce clients. And we just appreciate all the support from Xero, and we're excited to have this webinar today to talk a bit more about our collaborations. So just to start, why does A2X exist? Why would you want to use it alongside Xero? Well, here we've got a really good example. This is a Shopify payout. You may be familiar with some of these if you work with e-commerce clients. And you may be just aware of some of the complexity behind e-commerce data and these payouts that arrive in the bank account. They arrive as one amount that hits your Xero bank feed, but they are made up of many different types of transactions. So we've got an example here. We can see for Shopify, we've got sales, shipping income, VAT that's been collected and we probably need to remit to somebody, gift card liabilities, pending payments, disputes, and then at the end, Shopify will take away their fees before they pay out the money to the bank. So if you're the accountant and bookkeeper faced with these deposits, you've got a few different options. You can ignore it and reconcile it directly to sales, which won't be quite right, and your P&L is going to be a bit out of whack there. We do see that occasionally. The next option is to create best guess entries based on whatever reports you can extract to the best of your abilities. And the other is to spend hours doing it manually. Some of you may already have tried this. It does take a long time. You know, one Amazon settlement period can take you quite a few minutes just to process successfully in a manual way. So that's where we like to introduce A2X. What we do at A2X is try to give you accurate and automated e-commerce accounting directly into Xero and eliminate all that manual guesswork, and also make sure that things are going to the right places on the P&L and the balance sheet. We take all of the uncategorized data from the e-commerce platforms such as Shopify, Amazon, eBay, Etsy. We collate it all and we put it into a format that means that you can reconcile it quickly in Xero. You can see here an example. This is another payout, and we've broken it down into different places on the P&L and the balance sheet, depending on the transaction type. So we've got VAT, we have sales, we have shipping fees, promotions, all those transactions that we know makes up any kind of e-commerce sale. And what we give you at the end is an invoice that matches back to the amount that hit the bank account. We're always aiming for that green match in Xero, ping it through, match it back to the bank. That's the goal. What we want you to have at the end of the day is increased visibility on the success of the business so that you can communicate well to your clients, how they're doing, and you can communicate that quickly, not long after the end of the month. You'll be able to see on the P&L what sales they've made, what discounts, what promotions they've had going on, what their cost of goods sold are, and what fees they've paid to each of the platforms. And that really helps them to make good decisions going forward and make you their trusted advisor. So for this webinar, we really wanted to show you this in action. We didn't just want to show you screenshots. So I'm going to stop sharing just for a second, and then I'm going to share A2X and Xero. We've created a special demo account for today. While I do that, it might just take a couple of seconds. So maybe, David, you could tell us about what you've got coming up in Xero over the next months leading up to Christmas.
Yeah, that sounds great. So, yeah, exciting time at Xero at the moment. We're currently planning our Xero refresh events. So they're dotted all around the country. Please go to the just Google Xero refresh and you'll find out yeah, what events are going on. So they'll be taking place during November. And I'm presenting at the Manchester event, and you'll probably see me at Birmingham as well.
That's great. Okay, so this is A2X. And we've created a really simple 4-step process in order to get your accounts pushing through to Xero. We've created a demo account here we've called Happy Feet, which is an imaginary online shoe seller who sells on Amazon, Etsy, and Shopify. So you can see that we're on the A2X main page. And the first step when starting an account is usually to sign up for a free trial. You can do that by clicking this button here. I've already subscribed these accounts, so I'm going to log in instead. I'm logging in using my Google ID in this case, but you can log in using your Xero ID if you prefer. It's always a little nerve-wracking when you're doing a live demo, but I think this is going to work quite well, hopefully. Okay, so as I said, Happy Feet Limited is selling shoes on Amazon, Etsy, and Shopify, and they're going to use A2X to do their accounting in Xero. The step number 1 on setting up an account is to connect to Xero. This is super simple if you already have a Xero account. Some people set up their Xero account at the same time as they set up their A2X account. That's fine too. As soon as you've got your Xero login, you can set up your A2X account. You usually just have to log in once, and then you have a live connection to Xero. That pulls through all of the information about your chart of accounts and your particular tax rates, even if you have some custom tax rates. Step number 2 is to connect to the e-commerce platform. In this case, we're on the Shopify account, so it's connected to Shopify. There's a couple of ways to do that. You can either log in yourself if you have access to Shopify, some accounts and bookkeepers do, or you can send an email. A2X will send an email to your seller if you enter the email address, and they just log in once, and then you have access to Shopify. Once you've connected the e-commerce system to A2X, you'll see all of this data starts to flow in. So you start to see your payouts, your most recent payouts from the e-commerce system. You can fetch back longer than this. Actually, we can fetch back to the beginning of the store if you need that. So if you're doing a 2-year cleanup, don't worry, we've got you covered. So once we've completed step 1 and step 2, we do step 3. That's setting up accounts and taxes, which we do up here. Now, the cool thing is that we have an onboarding questionnaire now. So if you use our onboarding questions here, we'll ask you some questions about where you're VAT registered, if you have additional VAT registrations, and what types of products you sell. And we'll basically suggest a chart of accounts and a set of tax rates for you. So actually now you can set up your account with a standard set of tax rates and default accounts really quickly. However, there may be a case where you want to use custom accounts. Say your seller has some accounts in Xero that they're really committed to using, such as a dedicated Shopify fee account. That's no problem. You can edit it on this page and send your transactions there instead and just archive the A2X accounts. You can also add tax rates here or adjust tax rates based on your own particular requirements. Once that's all set up, we'll go back to the home page. The last step, step 4, is to post to Xero. You can do that down here. You can click post to Xero and it will send it across. It does it very quickly and it will give you an update when it's complete, and then these will turn green. You can send in bulk if you need to, and you can also enable our automatic posting feature. So if you don't want to come in here and manually send them, some people want to, but some people don't, then what we'll do is when we see a new payout, we'll automatically send it to Xero for you. It's totally under your control. You can automate it as much or as little as you wish. So one thing I just wanted to mention before we go over to Xero is that you may have a seller. So a lot of sellers will have multiple e-commerce stores. They might have 2 Shopify stores, an Amazon store, an eBay store, and an Etsy store. They may have multiple Amazon regions. The really great thing about Xero and A2X is you can send multiple A2X channels through to one Xero file. So for this store, for example, we can see that they've got an Amazon, they've got an Etsy, and they've got a Shopify. All of these are connected to the same Xero file. So we're going to be able to send all of the transactions through to the same account. And in a minute, I think David's going to show you how you can do some reporting using that information. So once we've posted to Xero, we want to see what we've sent. You usually do that by going to business and invoices. You can see all of the transactions I've posted right back towards the beginning of September and a little bit of August, just to give us a good set of data in there. You can see that it's categorized by e-commerce platform and dates, and they all should match back to the amounts that hit the bank. If we click on one, it should pull up for us. There we go. That's great. So this is a Shopify one. Now we can see that when we look down this invoice, we can see that we've got all the different transactions that made up that period, whether it be sales, shipping revenue, tax, fees. It's all included in one invoice, and the amount at the bottom is the amount that will have hit the bank. The other thing to flag up is when we send data to Xero, we always attach a file to it. You can see that here. If you were to export this just now, you'd see the transactional data right down to the order level. The reason this is important is because if you were to have someone come and do a VAT audit, you know that you don't have to go back to A2X, you don't have to go back to Shopify. All of the information that you need to be able to explain why you came to these numbers is right there in that file in Xero ready for you. So once we've checked out our invoices, we can go over to the bank feed. The last step is always just to match the invoices back to the amounts that hit the bank. I left a few unreconciled so that we could see it. And as a bookkeeper or an accountant, this is a magic moment. You can see here, we've got our Shopify payment that arrived, and then we've got our invoice that matches back, and we can click OK. If we go down the list, we can see we've got some from Etsy and a bit further down Amazon. So that's where we're going. Send it across to Xero, match it back to the bank. Hopefully it saves you a huge amount of time in manual processing, but not only that, we've correctly accounted for VAT and all the different types of transactions that made up that period. So I'm going to hand over to David now, and David's going to give us a walkthrough on the reporting side. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for that, Elspeth. Let me just share my screen. Hopefully I do it without a hitch, just like you. Yeah, awesome. So as you can see, we're back in the Happy Feet demo company. So I'm just going to run around some tips and tricks, things that might help you along the way, and then we'll jump into reporting and see what you think of that. So the very first thing I'm going to do is go to tracking categories. So you can find this by going to accounting and advanced. This is what Elspeth mentioned earlier, and it just allows you to kind of filter and track different regions, channels, whatever you want. So you'll see it's just listed here. A little tip is if you click this little star, it will actually appear in that accounting drop-down list as a favorite. So if we click into there, you will see that Elspeth has kindly created one already. So this is for the selling platform. So by adding that, she's able to track by Amazon, Etsy, and Shopify. There are plenty of ways of doing this. You can also do it through account code or something like that. But this just really helps you when reporting, because you're able to filter in different ways. And you can have 2 different tracking categories with multiple tracking options. So very quickly, I'm just going to show you how to do that. And it's by clicking Add Tracking Category. And then if we say by region, and then you might want to go by United Kingdom, excuse my terrible spelling, United States, and then maybe EU. And then that means that you can add other items, as I say, but it means that when we go into reporting later, we're actually going to be able to track by these, assuming that you utilize those in A2X later on. We'll just hit save on that anyway, and then you can easily manage the two of them. The next part, and probably the most important, is that reporting. So if we go to accounting and reports, you'll see that Xero has a plethora of reporting tools, plenty to go through, something for everyone, whether it's for management information, for payables and receivables, or if it's for financial statements and things like that. But the ones that we're going to focus on today is firstly the balance sheet. So I can access it as a favorite up here, or because it's favorited there, I can go through the accounting menu. And this is really important for those month-end reviews or period-end reviews that you might be doing for your clients, or your clients might want to check them themselves. And it's really easy to toggle on and change date range and things here. So very simply, I'm just going to run this to the end of this month. Hopefully we've got data in there. Amazing. So that is going to run the balance sheet as at the 31st of October. And then essentially we can just look through here to track various balances. Obviously, you'll have all of your required balance sheet items for normal day-to-day business, but you'll also have these A2X balance sheet codes coming in as well. And so things that you might want to review on here is, as an example, the reserve accounts for Amazon, Etsy, etc. And these reserve accounts are the cash held back by the channel that you're selling through, which essentially should be cleared off every month. So as you can see, there is a balance in here. And if we were to click into that, we'd just be able to reconcile back, have a little look, and you can see that the previous months has been paid through. This is clearly due to some other opening balance issue that we'd look into, but ideally you're giving yourself one quick and easy place to just look at the balance sheet and see whether that money has been cleared down each month. We'll then jump over to accounting and the profit and loss. And I'll just give you a few examples of what we can do in here. So at the moment, it's just showing a date range up to the end of March 2025. But as mentioned, we can also pull through those tracking categories so that you can actually pull in further information by tracking category. So in this instance, I'm just going to add the selling platform. So we'll add a couple in there and hit apply. And when we're ready, we can update. And then you can have two separate columns, much easier to look at. And it also means that if you don't have separate account codes for each of the selling channels, then you're able to just review it all on one report. And you can see the breakdown of, discounts, promotions, refunds, reimbursements, all that good stuff. So very easy for us to start pulling out some customized reporting. I'll then just explain that on the left-hand side, Xero's introduced these common formats and like recently viewed formats for these reports. And this just gives you a really easy way to start customizing your reporting and maybe looking at what we'd suggest is a useful report to use. So an example of that might be so that you can look at the current. I've just realized that I need to probably change my dates. There you go. So there we go. So just by clicking on that really easily, it's just pulled it back to the current month. So it's worked out that we're in October, and then it's comparing us with the 3 recent months. We'll change that to 2 because there's no information for July. But so quickly, just by clicking one button, you can run additional reports which might have various breakdowns, and you're able to track the performance of those channels month to month. And again, just very useful. Now I'm going to jump back to the standard profit and loss now. And that is because along the bottom, in the bottom left, we actually have an edit layout function. And this allows you to totally customize any reports in Xero. So if we go on edit layout now, we'll just have a little play around. Nice. So it'll give you an overview on the left-hand side. And from here, you can start adding in rows. So if you wanted to group things differently or go by formula, and then you can also add in various columns. So if you wanted comparisons, formulas, percentages, variances, all that good stuff, even tracking to budget, we can do that here. So if I go back to rows, we're just going to group some items. And it's just a case of dragging down. So, oh no, I knew this would happen. Let me clear that, sorry. So yeah, I'm going to highlight these Amazon items here. And then if I just go to rows and then group, 1 second, guys. There you go, group selection. I'll get there in the end. Yeah, we're able to group these by channel. So the first thing I'm going to do is just say that this is like sales. And say that is our net sales. And essentially we can do this for various sales channels, and it's going to give us our net sales for that for whatever we're looking at for that period. So it's just very important to look at this on a channel by channel basis. So it's very easy to look at that one turnover figure and assume that something you're selling on Amazon, on Etsy, whatever it is actually profitable or you are gaining decent revenue from it. But it's really important to group together things like your promotions, refunds, reimbursements, returns, whatever else might be in there. Just so that you can kind of look on a channel by channel basis. Really, is my client making money from it? Am I making money from that channel? And yeah, by doing that, we're able to we're able to find that. I'm just going to do that for Amazon for speed, but you get the idea. You could do the same for Etsy and Shopify down there. But then we can also add maybe a percentage in there, I thought could be quite useful. So this is where we could say that of column 25, 2025, we can show a percentage of turnover. And yeah, say percentage of turnover in there. And then that's actually going to mean that on a channel by channel basis, you can see, yeah, obviously what percentage of your turnover that's actually making up. So you can make some informed decisions around whether it's worth selling through that channel. I'll click update layout now. Invalid percentage columns. That's always a good start. There we go. Amazing. So now we have those net sales showing for Amazon once we've taken into account all of those adjustments. But we can also see, that 75% of our sales are clearly coming through Amazon. You can add as many of those groups in and as many of those columns in as you see fit for your account code. So yeah, it's just a nice way to to kind of manage kind of review at maybe month end or whatever, and start doing that, start giving that advisory information to your clients. You might then call it, something like profit and loss with net sales. And then the brilliant thing is by going to save as along the bottom, you can keep it as a draft or publish it so that your clients can view it and you can forward it on. Or if you save it as a custom, I'll call it again like net sales or Amazon net sales, you get the point. And hit save, then you can actually save that in your reporting. So every single month, whenever you want to look at it, you don't need to recreate that. We can just go to accounting and reports. Hit custom. And then as you can see, it's saved there, ready to go. So I can just click into that and then play around with whatever dates I want to run it to, etc. Lots of customization that can be done in Xero. So obviously there's only so many hours in the day, but it's something I'm always happy to talk through practices with, or there's lots of help on Xero Central for that. And the last thing I'm going to show is find and recode. So if we go down to accounting and find and recode there, find and recode is an amazing tool for essentially finding out specific items based on set criteria and then being able to recode those in mass. This has a lot of useful, a lot of uses in practice, particularly around, recoding transactions for VAT returns, etc. It can save a lot of time. But yeah, the people at A2X absolutely adore it. For the ability that you can recode things. So if I start looking at things like accounts, and then I'm going to search for Amazon fees. So I understand, having spoke with Elspeth.
We've been using it a lot this last couple of months because Amazon have made a lot of changes to their fees recently. So this has been a godsend being able to do this rather than repost whole invoices.
Yeah, love to hear that. So yeah, when there has been changes, for example, with Amazon, or um, if you wanted to make changes to maybe tracking categories and things like that, you can search by account. You can also add other conditions. Now, I won't do that now, but you could add things like tax rate. So if you're looking for transactions in a certain account with a certain tax rate, you can search by that. And just by clicking on search, it will essentially return all of those transactions relating to relating to those accounts. I will have a look through. You can see that they're all 20% on there. What should there be, Elspeth?
You might have a couple that would be Xero rated now, so you might want to change them. Yeah.
Okay, so it would be worth looking through. I'll just choose some random ones. So say we wanted to recode these 4 transactions. You might want to recode them all by clicking in bulk. But I'll just do a few for now. Yeah, and then go into recode at the top here. And what you can recode is you can go by contact, by account, or in this example, you'd want to move it to Xero rated expense. I mentioned tracking categories earlier, and if you are setting those up now, you can still add a tracking category here. So if you wanted to recode things by selling platform or region, you can add those in at a later date. And yeah,
That's good for if you forgot to add tracking categories in A2X at the start, you can go back and fix it in Xero.
Absolutely. So I'm just going to review on that. For that I want to recode, hit confirm. And then there you go. It will recode them. It's done.
Magic.
One transaction. Yeah. There you go. So yeah, that's kind of everything in Xero that I was due to show. And I'll jump over to the slides now. So I'll just stop sharing and reshare again.
I think it's brilliant that we can look at profitability by channel, because there's such a difference sometimes, and you can start to spot things like, is there something strange going on with my eBay returns, or is this particular Amazon region just not performing very well, and do we need to shut it down? It really helps on the decision-making side.
Amazing. Yeah, totally agree with that. And so just got a bit of an interview style section here for Elspeth. So a few questions that regularly come up when it comes to implementing A2X at your Xero-based practice. So Elspeth, tell me, what is the first step?
Good question. I think the first step is to sign up for a free trial. So if you want to try it with one of your e-commerce sellers, sign up, start pulling some data through, connect it to Xero. You don't have to push anything through to start with, or you can send it through as drafts and just have a look at it. If you'd like to try, we normally let you have 3 payouts to start with to test out. But if you want to try longer, some people want to pull in a whole month, look at it, talk to their client about it, then that's no problem. Send us an email, we'll send you a 1-month free discount code, and you can give it a try with a slightly longer chunk of data.
Amazing. Sounds great. So can I manage multiple clients from a single A2X account, or do I need separate accounts for each client?
Right, yes. So this is a really good question. So the answer is yes. you can have one A2X master login, and then you'll have multiple individual A2X accounts for each client, and have a good naming convention. Client store is usually a good way to go. But as we said earlier, you can connect multiple stores to one Xero file. So there's no limit on that. If they've got many different Amazon regions plus a few Shopify stores, it's no problem. Xero can handle it.
Awesome. What's the best way to standardize A2X settings and workflows across multiple e-commerce clients?
Yeah, so I think the best ways are to use standard sets of accounts. So use our default accounts to start with, use our default tax rates, and then maybe add some tracking categories like we've talked about today, because they can be super useful in Xero on the reporting side. And I think that is the best way to go to start with. There'll always be times where you may need to use custom accounts because your client is particularly committed to a set of accounts they already have, or maybe they want to split revenue by particular groups of products. That's no problem. We can do those kind of levels of customization. But a good base to start with every client, just to make sure the numbers are right, is the default set of accounts and the standard tax rates. It just means that you know it's going to the right place on the P&L and balance sheet to start with, and you can get a really good picture of how it's going to work for you going forward. The other thing we have is, so for partners, we have a partner dashboard we can enable for you. And we also have a Teams feature, which I definitely recommend making use of if you've got many A2X clients, because it allows you to have one master login and then assign access to individual accounts based on which team members are using it.
Nice.
So yeah, my top tip, if you're going to have lots of A2X accounts, is to have one master login that handles the billing and admin. Use the same one you use for Xero if you want to, and that works really well for quite a few of our practices. And then that's your master login, and everything else you can just add along the way underneath that.
Cool, good stuff. So how does A2X scale as my client base grows, and are there volume-based discounts?
Yes, so A2X, we've put in a lot of time beefing up all our systems to be able to handle extremely high volume Shopify and Amazon sales. Think influencers selling things all over the place.
Yeah.
So we can scale to a very high volume of sales, but also we can allow you to grow your practice. If this is an area you're interested in, then we really want to support you in that. I think we're going to talk about the partner program right at the end. There are volume-based discounts, so the more clients you add to A2X, the more your discount will grow, basically.
Awesome stuff. How does A2X handle VAT?
This is a great question, one of my favorite topics at A2X. A2X has a really robust VAT suite that we've developed over many years. We can handle UK VAT, EU VAT, and also other types of sales tax. So your seller may also be selling on Amazon.com, and you may need to track marketplace tax in North America. That's no problem. As long as we get the data from the e-commerce platform, we can push that to the right place on the balance sheet for you. In the UK, so the other neat thing about using a UK version of Xero, if you've got a UK VAT return, is that we automate the numbers through to the UK VAT return. So basically all you need to do at the end of the quarter is just check your numbers the way you normally would, and you'll just see that A2X has posted it across and it's ready waiting there for you just to do your final review.
Perfect. Does A2X offer UK-based support?
We do. We have a very dedicated team of UK support people. I think everybody's an accountant or bookkeeper themselves with e-commerce experience, and we're all a bit nerdy about the VAT. So very much so, we'd love to talk to you. We'd love to support you with getting your clients working with A2X and Xero.
Perfect. I'll leave you to talk through the A2X Partner Program.
Partner Program, yes. So this is a little overview of the Partner Program. It's free to join. And it comes with a number of benefits straight from the start. So you get free one-to-one support with our UK team. So say you've got your first client, you want to set them up, you can actually book in a 45-minute onboarding session with one of our UK team, and we'll walk you through it just to give you reassurance and increase your confidence levels. You can also do our partner certification, which only takes an hour, and you become an A2X expert. It basically tells you everything you need to know about getting A2X to talk to Xero. And then also there are the volume discounts. So as you grow, so you'll get a higher level of discount on your subscriptions that you pay for.
Perfect.
And then I think this is another thing just to highlight about being part of the partner program. We've got our e-commerce directory. We think it's quite unusual. We think it's the only one out there of its kind at the moment. And basically it's worldwide, and it allows e-commerce sellers across the world to search geographically for an accountant or bookkeeper who understands e-commerce. And we've got a dedicated UK page, and it's really popular with sellers. We do a matchmaking process as well. So if they want us to matchmake them with someone, we'll try to fit them with a good accounting practice. So it's really popular, and I would say most days we've got matchmaking requests coming through. So for you, as someone with, if you join the partner program, once you've got a few clients on A2X, you will have the option to join the directory for the UK. And then we would start sending you some leads that we think are a good fit for your particular practice. We'll ask you some questions about, what your business looks like, how we can help you, and then we can usually do kind of a warm handshake. So I think at the moment with over 50 leads a month, we'll say, coming that way, and we're finding it's a really good source of leads for accountants and bookkeepers in the UK generally.
I'm guessing with things like the influencers you were mentioning before as well, there's probably never been more opportunity for online sales and people not knowing what to do with the finances. So
yeah, it's a really fun. We're going to put our toes into the waters of TikTok again soon, I think. But it's a really fun. I mean, the e-commerce sellers are really fun customers to work with. We generally find they're tech savvy, and yeah, they're usually always doing something exciting.
yeah, perfect. I think now it's time for just some attendee questions and answers. So I don't know if Victoria's got any passed on, but
we do. We've got a few questions that have come up. So let me pick a good one to start with. Okay, this is a good one. This is a Xero question, I think. So I'm going to give this one to you, David.
I'll do my best.
If the first VAT return, if the second VAT return has already been submitted, will this adjust the next return as necessary? I think this question is asking, if I change something from my previous VAT quarter, can Xero pick it up in the next quarter?
Yeah, absolutely. So with MTD, we introduced late claims. So yeah, if anything has changed from a prior quarter, there's no worries at all. Works with Find and Recode, works with individually changing transactions and everything that gets fed through. So you just have a late claims figure that would be pulled into the following return ready for you to submit in a separate box for you to check it.
Really neat feature in Xero.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, another question, I think this is more A2X related. What are the carried balances shown on the balance sheet? So I would say there are generally three different types of balances, carried balances, that we would see on the balance sheet with e-commerce. The first, and we'll use Amazon as an example because it has all three generally. You'd see Amazon reserved balances. Those are the balances where Amazon withholds money on a settlement and carries it forward to the next settlement and then withholds more. So that sits on your balance sheet in the Amazon reserved balances account. A second type of balance is the Amazon pending balance, and A2X creates a separate account for that to keep it very clear. That generally happens if you have a marketplace that isn't incredibly profitable and your fees are over the amount that you're earning on that marketplace, then Amazon quite often will deduct that in a later settlement once you have a profitable payout. And so we track that on the balance sheet in Amazon pending balances. The third type is our Amazon carried balances, and that's purely a functional account in Xero. You don't need to do anything with it. All it does is allow you to have a green match when a settlement crosses month end. That's all it does. It's purely just to give you, to get two invoices to match back to one on the bank feed. I hope that answered that question.
I understood it.
Hopefully. Okay, so here's another good question. This is a Xero one. What about managing multi-currency in Xero? David, you can answer that one.
Yeah, perfect. So, yes, we can manage it. It just depends on what subscription you're using. So, multi-currency only comes on our formerly premium, but now comprehensive and ultimate upwards. But other than that, it's really simple. You just get additional boxes on your invoices, on your bank, etc. And yeah, you can set up whichever currency you want, and then it pulls down like live currency conversions. So yeah, really useful, easy to do.
Really useful if you do multi-currency e-commerce. Okay, we've got loads of questions. This is great. Can the balance sheet be tracked fully as it is with the P&L? I think I'll give you that question as well, David.
That is a good question, which I can't think of the answer to. Yes.
Probably can filter. I haven't tried to do
Yeah,
that, but I've got a feeling you probably can. We'd have to
yeah,
test it out though, maybe.
yeah. The tracking categories pull through to most of your reporting. So I guess you could look at like balances by channel or by region exactly the same. But yeah, off the top of my head, on the spot, I can't think, sorry.
Test it out, see if it works.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, all right. This one's an A2X question. Question about the trial terms. Can I try an uninhibited with a client with multiple channels and multiple orders free? Or was that what the discount code was for? So what we can do is we could give you a 1 month free discount code, and you can use that for a multi-plan, which allows you to connect more than one A2X account. And then you can test a month of data. So it wouldn't be completely uninhibited because you wouldn't be able to fetch 2 years of history or anything like that, I don't think. But it would allow you to test a good chunk of data. This is another question about carried balances. In response to the carried balances, may I ask if these balances at start of period are not in place? Is there a guide for how to enter these as opening balances? Yes, we do have a guide for that, actually. They won't be there to start with if you've been using a different method prior for your reserve balances. So it's usually a case of journaling it into that account. But yes, we can help you with that. We can actually see the total that it should be in A2X. So we can also provide you with that information. Okay, this is a good question. What takes precedence on an import, the Xero mapped account standard tax rate or the tax rate set up in the seller's online selling platform, i.e. Amazon? So when Amazon sends data to A2X, it comes, if it's a taxable sale, you get 2 transactions. You get a net sale line and you get the tax line. So A2X has a special method where we wrap those into the income accounts in Xero and we apply the tax rates across both transactions. And that gets you the right numbers in the VAT return. So the answer is what takes precedence are the Xero tax rates you apply in A2X. So that's where the kind of powerhouse of how you code your transactions is, because it's the easiest place to see it. And it basically then ties back to the Xero tax rates. And when you get your invoice in Xero, you can check it and make sure you're happy with it at the end stage. I hope that answers that question. Okay, let's have another Xero one. Can I set PayPal up as a bank feed in Xero, David?
Yes, you absolutely can. Yeah, it's just setting up PayPal like setting up a bank feed with any other account. But it is important to make sure that you set the date that you want to pull your transactions through from. I think particularly with Shopify, it can be an issue if not.
Yeah, catch that starting date right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got 2 more questions unless any more come through. So first question, can e-commerce clients subscribe for A2X themselves and add accountant as user? Absolutely. If they want to subscribe, that's no problem. They'll just add your email address and invite you and you'll have access on your main A2X login. And then a question. Say
So
that
you may
again.
even already have clients using A2X and they just haven't spoke out about it. I think a lot of firms are introduced to apps because one of their clients is using it.
Yeah, and a lot of e-commerce sellers really like apps, so they may already have signed up for it and they can just invite you. So last question is about the Amazon VAT on fees changes. I'm going to read this slowly so I fully understand. Now Amazon charging VAT on Amazon fees from 1st of August 2024. So can we reclaim VAT on previous 4 years expenses incoming VAT return? So for this one, I really think you're going to want to have a chat with your tax advisor, because we're not so much on the tax advice side. But what I would say generally is we're seeing is the changes only come into play from the 1st of August. So it's unlikely that you'd be able to claim anything prior to that. The only exception to that is going to be UK advertising fees, which for some reason seem to always have VAT on those invoices. So it's definitely, if you haven't claimed those previously, it's worth having a look at your older invoices in the Amazon tax document library for that. Okay, I think that's all the questions. Those were brilliant questions. That might be the best questions we've had so far on a webinar. So thank you, everybody. Thanks for speaking up and sending those across. All right, so maybe we can, Dave, do you mind moving to the next slide? Okay, if you have questions, don't worry, get in touch, send an email to contact@a2xaccounting.com, or if you want to send one directly to me, send it to elspeth@a2xaccounting.com and I'll get back to you. Particularly discount codes, just let me know how we can help getting you onboarded. And then I'm going to I think David's got one on there. Yeah.
Like A2X, Xero has a partner program, and we'd love to have you guys on it if you're not already. So feel free to scan the code. It's going to bring you to our Xero partner program landing page, instructions on how to join it. If not, give it a Google later in your own time. But yeah, the more the merrier, right?
Absolutely. Okay, so that just leaves me to say a big thank you. I really appreciate you all for attending and participating by sending your questions along. That's been really great. Thank you so much to David for attending and showing us the reporting side. Really appreciate that. And yeah, thank you. No, thanks so much. It's been really great. Have a great afternoon, everybody, and see you soon.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.